Doesn't make sense, does it? When you're a kid, you're told to share. Share with your brother, share with this, share. And then when you turn 18, well, they told you, go out and get as much as you can for you. Go out and get a guy who can buy you things, girl. Get you a guy who can buy you a mansion. You know what I'm saying, girl. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're told. How is a woman supposed to receive her validity in the United States? You have a husband who makes a lot of money. You look great in a black dress, and you're all in shape. Don't worry about your intelligence. How many girls, don't have to say anything, but how many girls know that you or a girlfriend of yours, or maybe your mom, plays down how smart she is because she intimidates men? You play dumb. These are the things that we're told make who you are. This is a good woman. This is a good man. So I got to this point and I said, is this it? Is this what life's about? Getting mine. How many of you guys look around and see people dying? Maybe your grandpa or grandma, they had lots of money and they're miserable. Absolutely miserable. Is this all there is to life? Going to the Access Radius Club, getting drunk, doing drugs. Those things just can be fun. But ultimately, in the end, does it produce fruit in your life? So I got to this point and I was like, the worst thing happened to me in the world. The most painful thing, doesn't matter what it was, you will experience a very painful thing in your life. I'm sorry to say. It's like when they ride in a motorcycle, they never say, if you have an accident. When you ride a motorcycle, it's when you have your accident. I'm sorry to say that at some time in your life, you are going to experience more pain than you thought was humanly possible. Somebody is going to break your heart. Somebody's going to be mean to you, like you couldn't imagine somebody would do. And at that point, you have to ask yourself, what is life about? Is it about something greater? So I got to this point and I asked myself, this person had been the meanest, most mean you could ever be. And anyone who would ask me, if they knew the truth, they would say, oh man, you had all the right in the world just to hate that person for the rest of your life. Man, you are so victimized by that person. It doesn't matter what it was. But I had all the justification to hate that person for the rest of my life. But I looked around at all the people that I know, moms and dads that are divorced, that have never a good word to say about their spouse. Even if they were married to them and there was something about them they love, they're just talking trash about them all the time. Are they happy? Or are they more miserable? So I said, if that's the path, if I hate this person, I will be miserable just like all these other people. So what did I do instead? I chose to forgive. I saw this person is a good person, but they did something that was sick. I've done mean things, but they chose to do something, and I had empathy. You learn in your psychology the back part of your brain is your fight or flight, your reptilian brain, right? It's the point that says when somebody comes up and punches you in the face, run away or fight them back. Is there a third possibility? Well, if we use the limbic part of our brain, the limbic part is where we establish our familial relations. In fact, we have what's called limbic resonance. All mammals have limbic resonance. Have you ever had a point where your mom calls you and says, are you all right? And you're like, how did you know? And she goes, I knew something happened to you. Yeah, I fell off the ski lift, broke my ankle, whatever. Something happened to you. You ever had that experience? Yeah, it'll happen more. All mammals have that. We can empathize with each other. This is the second part of our brain to develop. The last part of our brain to develop is the neocortex. It's where we choose. If you punch me in the face, I have a choice. I can run, I can fight you back, or I can love you. What? I love you. I forgive you. It is a choice. You have that choice. But what makes it a lot easier is I use my empathy to say, you know what? The reason he's punching me is because his dad punched him. His dad punched him, and so this is the only relationship he knows. Or, somebody stole something from him. Their kid's hungry, and they don't have the skills to know how to get money. They can't work a job or whatever. And so they stole from me to feed their kid. So I have empathy. So at this point, I made a decision. Well, I tried it out. I said, I'm going to forgive this person. And peace to separate. to where I came up with my phrase that incorporates this whole thing. It all begins with gratitude. Love, help, make art, peace. And so that's what I've been doing. And I try to test. I don't care if you're, Jehovah's Witness, Buddhist, Hindu, Baha'i, Mormon. I went and I looked at all the world religions. I looked at the writings of moral teachers, Confucius, Lao Tzu, Aesop. All of them say one thing. Every single religious book, whether it's the Quran, the Torah, you name it, says one thing. Love your neighbor. Right? Be kind to those who aren't kind. The golden rule. Be kind, treat others as you wish to be treated. So I want to be loved. I like to feel loved. I like to feel loved by others. So instead of seeking to be loved, I seek to love. Instead of waiting for someone to make me breakfast in bed, I choose to make them breakfast. And so I put it out to a test. I tried one thing, and I tried to be kind. And it felt good. Got a little bit of bliss. And then I was selfish, I volunteered at a gymnastics gym and coached kids for free. Man, that felt really good. And then I asked to be, paid more than I was really worth at a different gymnastics gym. And so I went with this. And the more I tried, I would try this. And then eventually I got to a point where I was like, I had tested all of these different axioms, the things that Jesus and the Buddhas and all these things said, and I tested them and say, are they full of crap or are they real? And I found out most of them are real. Is it better to give than receive? Yeah. When you were 5 years old, you got a Christmas present. You felt pretty good, right? Now that you're 15, 16, and you give your little brother the dinosaur they really wanted, and they just throw their arms around you and just say, thank you. That means way more than whatever the dinosaur that you got when you were 5, right? Does that make sense? So it becomes, at some point, inconceivable to do anything not for another. And sure, there are points where I am selfish. And then, but eventually, because I want to get back to this point where you're my daughter, you're my brother, you're my father, and we're all one. Because we are. It's only in our brain that we think that we're something else. So, how did I choose to do this? I asked myself, what is the greatest good? Because you feel, you're 15 years old, living here, can't even drive, what can you do for peace? We all feel so small, so insignificant. I'm not going to be president of the United States. What can I do? How can I affect world peace? But I tell you this, that every peace movement, every change that has ever come around in this world started with one person. Rosa Parks stood up on that bus and said, no more. And at that day, the bus drivers, you all know Rosa Parks, right? Yeah. At that day, the bus drivers used to carry guns to enforce who sat where. And she said, no, I'm not getting up. Martin Luther King went to jail. But it started with one person. Gandhi, in South Africa, said, I am not going to carry around a card that says I have to designate that I'm Indian and a white person doesn't have to do that. So we burned his card. He got beat up for it. But he changed all of South Africa. Every change in this world started with one person choosing something different. You are that person. I am that person. It only matters with the chase of choice. So what is the choice then? Thought about what can I do? Well, I'm just one guy, but I can run, I can paint, I can draw. How can I affect the greatest good? I was a really good gymnastics coach. I've coached in Germany and in Japan. I've coached all around the United States. I'm very successful. I always won national championships. I was good. And while I affected those boys' lives, girls, I coach girls too. But while I affected those kids' lives, I knew that being able to sit here in a classroom with you, I might inspire you. I might encourage you. And you will do something different. You're not going to pick up and run. JC couldn't do what I do. He's got a wife and kids. He couldn't pick up and go run, 10,000 miles. Not that he wants to, But we each have a choice. And the choices are small. It always begins with a super small choice. So I packed up, I tested out all the things I was telling you. So I took all my clothes. Most of you guys have a closet so full that you have to force to get one hanger. You have 7 coats. And yet we walk by people living on the street that don't have any. I have more food than I could possibly eat. You know, I could go buy anything from the store. I took vacations all over the world. You know, I had all the toys. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try it out. So I went down and took all the clothes that I had, put them in a baby buggy, and I rode them down in the middle of San Francisco. And I found all the homeless people down there. It just rained. They're all cold and wet. And I saw this guy digging in a trash can for food. And I walked up to him and was like, hey, buddy, are you cold? You want a jacket? And he's like, yeah. So I pulled out a $1,000 black leather jacket and gave it to him. Put it on. I was like, thanks, man. I went back to digging in the trash. But I had to ask myself, I laughed, because here's this really nice black leather jacket and it's going right into mayonnaise, you know? And I had to ask myself, what's more valuable, that coat or that man? My priorities were wrong. My priorities needed adjustment. I went down to a homeless shelter and it rained, everybody's feet were wet. And so how many socks do you own? I owned a lot of socks, maybe 50 pairs. Everywhere I went, people were asking me for socks, and I just kept on digging in the bag, kept on digging in the bag. Miracle, I don't know. There are always socks there. I was able to do socks. And this guy, this old Hawaiian guy, comes up to me and he just starts crying. He's like, why are you doing this? I'm like, love's real, man. Love is real. You're all worth it. And he just starts sobbing. We just hug each other there on the side of the street. You can make a difference in anybody's life. I do whatever I can. I mean, obviously I'm an artist. I like to draw people's picture. After the last, 4th hour, I sat in here and I drew a guy's picture and I drew a couple girls' picture, and they were happy for that moment alone. Maybe they're not going to be happy for the rest of their life. For that moment, they're happy, and I contributed to that. I saw a lady crying on the side of the street. I went over and asked her, you okay? And she's like, I just had a hard day. And I was like, can I give you a hug? She's like, yeah. I gave her 2. I mean, it seems weird maybe, but that's what she needed at that point. There was a lady who was having a fight. I could see her in an upstairs room. And so I went and I got a bunch of flowers and I just stuck them right in front of her window so she had flowers to look at. Another person, I made a kid laugh who was crying with his mom and started dancing the jig. And he started laughing because I was an idiot. That's what I could do. So I asked myself, in each situation, what can I do? So I stood there in Seattle. I have a baby buggy filled with art supplies and sleeping bag and 1 change of clothes. So again, you have to wash clothes once. And I stepped out, no money, no food, nothing, and took a leap of faith. And I ran 25 miles a day since. And I run until I'm given shelter. I fast until I was given food. I never asked for it, but I've been doing this for 5 months, and I have yet to go. I have yet to miss a meal. And so why is that important? It's not really important, but the reason I share it with you is that you guys are beautiful, you're young, you're awesome, you're amazing. You coach kids and taught kids like you. I know you are awesome. You are everything that everybody wants to be. And if the universe is going to take care of an old man, who's halfway crazy, I'm either a liar or I'm a lunatic or I'm going to be onto something. But if it's taking care of me, it will certainly take care of you. But the choice is, what am I going to do in this moment, this moment? Am I going to choose another? So my encouragement to you, if you feel like it, if you want to, go out today and do something kind for another person. Anything. Walk up, give your friend a hug. The heart, you've heard of heart brain, you have the brain, which Kabashi is teaching you about. But your heart brain, your heart pulses by magnets. It produces a magnetic field. And you guys know about magnets. What happens when 2 magnets get together? Yeah. Miracles, bro. They attract. When you put your chest next to somebody else's chest, you don't think that those magnetic waves are not being transferred between? That's why